Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all the others. This is Alex, W7FTM, along with Vicky, K8VKY. We will be your net control for the Saturday Night Trivia Net number 119. This is a direct net, so all traffic should go through net control. Does anyone have any emergency or priority traffic they were holding until the start of the net? If so, come now. The format of the net is live trivia. One random question will be read to each person who checks in. You'll have 3 answers to select from. And tonight's question of the night, an easy one tonight. What was your favorite game to play as a child? I mean any game. Monopoly, hide and seek, Stratego, that was one of my favorite ones. Doctor, whatever it is, let us know. And let's see who's checked in already. Hang on a second. Including all the last minute people that are texting in. We have German George in Scottsdale, KJ6ARR. He emailed his question, or emailed in, and I gave him a question. He got it correct. Let's go to George in Japan, JR2FJI. N6MOT, Little Island, Monterey, California. KK7HLD, Dave in Portland. KN6MIK, Mike in San Diego. KK7AVK, Victoria in Phoenix. She's in and out tonight. She's away from her home. And Timothy in Tillamook, KK7NXCV, the text line. Alex in Pasadena, KD5AGZ. KI7ZRI, Don in Kennewick, Washington. KD6CIR, West in Grants Pass, Oregon. N7FGP, Scott in Houston. KC2 JPQ, Frank in Lancaster, New York. KF7FPS, Fred in Reno. KN6JLW and KN6JLX, Stephanie and Larry in Elk Grove, California. Let's see, let me drop a second. As well as KD3BPH, Haddon, Cowdigan, Pennsylvania. VK2DY, Robert in Kelly Ridge, Australia. KF6HDJ, Brent in Pensacola, Florida. W2AJR, Andy in Cheektowaga, New York. KQ4UPK, Chris in Hollywood. K5MUX, that's Teresa in College Station, Texas. K8BYU, Roy in Blasdell, New York. N5ZUA, Steve in Houston. AC4BR, Brian in Monticello, Kentucky. And KC1, QPL, John in South St. Paul, Minnesota. Does anybody else like to check into the Saturday Night Trivia Net? Full call sign, phonetically twice, please.
Whiskey Oscar 7 X-ray. Whiskey Oscar 7 X-ray.
E2 B Delta Whiskey Hotel. Kilo 2 B Baker C George X-ray.
KO4CLD, KO4CLD.
Hello, Juliet 5, Juliet November, Juliet, KJ5, JNJ.
Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel, Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel. Let's hold up right there. Now we had W7X, Joe in Portland. We had KO4CLD, Micah in Alabama. We had KJ5J&J, Justin in Conroe, Texas. And W9DWH, David, Owensboro, Kentucky. There were 2 more stations I couldn't quite pull out. AWH in the call sign. If I got that or anything close, come back with your call sign, please. And maybe again, I'm all wet. All right, let's try GX. Call sign that had a partial suffix of GX. If you could try it again, please.
This is K2BGX, Kilo 2, B Baker, G George, XX.
KE2DGX, got it that time. Thank you very much, Alan. I think that was right. KE2DGX, is that it?
It is Kilo 2, B Baker, G George, XX-ray, K2BGX.
Sorry, I gave you an extra letter. Yeah, K2BGX. Jerry, got you that time. Okay. Going to the top. Let's see if George made it in tonight. I didn't remind him. He's probably on the mountain somewhere, but we'll try. JR2, FJI, George in Kawagoe, Japan. It might not be connected. Well, maybe later. Let's go to Little Owl in Monterey, California. N6, MOT, Little Owl. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Well, good evening, everybody. Little Al here, N6 MOT. It was definitely hide and seek. We got the whole neighborhood out there, especially in summertime. It was warm outside or something. It was definitely hide and seek. We used to have a lot of fun. I had a lot of kids in our neighborhood. Anyway, I'm ready for a question.
All right, let's start off with some animal questions. And those are always fun. What do you call a group of flamingos? Would allow a group of flamingos? Is that A, a gaggle, B, a flamboyance, or C, cluster's last stand?
Flamboyance. I mean, I really would, but I'm going to go with a gaggle. Flamboyance sounds better, though. Anyway, thanks, Alex. You have a great night. N6 MOT.
Yeah, apparently that's what the people that named them thought, too. Yeah, it's a flamboyance. Yeah, flamboyance. Oh, do you know what pink flamingos have on their front lawns? Plastic Italians. People in New York will appreciate that. Thanks for now. Let's try George again in Kawagoe, Japan. JR2 FJI. George, did you make it through? I'd make a Godzilla joke, but that would be inappropriate. Let's go to Dave in Portland, KK7HLD. Dave, favorite game to play as a child? Easy tonight, Dave. Which one did you play?
Oh, this is KK7HLD. Alex, thank you very much. I was more likely to want to be taking something apart, putting it back together, or building engines, building stuff. I played pretty much whatever games the family played, but that was my preferred stuff. Back to you, Alex. I don't know if you can hear the third-party purr.
And yes, we can. It's a good pickup on your microphone. Yeah, Rector set would have done, but we'll give you credit for rebuilding an engine when you were a kid. Hey, my nephew can do it. Why not you? Your question is, what is a group of cats called? A group of cats. We did flamingos last time. What do you call a group of cats? A pounce, B, a clouder, or C, a jazz man?
that the deck had rusted through, so Dad had to get a new one. I showed it in the fair. All of my brothers and sisters showed animals in the fair, but I was the black sheep. You know, because of the grease. KK7HLD.
Yeah, I think the most mechanical thing I did when I was a kid was take a 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine and put it on a mini bike to run it. My parents had a fit, but it was a lot of fun there for a while. All right, your question is correct. Yeah, it's a clouder. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. A group of cats is called a clouder. Thank you, Dave. Mike in San Diego, KN6 MIK. What was your favorite game to play as a child, Mike?
Good evening, Alec. Always a pleasure. Always. KN6MIK, Mike here in San Diego. Well, sir, I was that kid in the neighborhood. Ding dong ditch, and I wasn't the only one. We had a pretty organized little group of individuals, and I'll just leave it at that. That and flying my model airplanes. Go ahead, Alex. I'll take a question.
Yeah, the ding-dong ditch, something just about every kid does, although it's known by different names where you live. We call it devil on the doorstep. You go ring the bell, nobody'd be there, and great fun. And then a few weeks ago, some kids were doing that, and I forget where it was, and they got shot. One of the kids got shot. So, can't do anything anymore. It's fun. All right, Mike, your question is, according to researchers, what is a cat's favorite type of music? Yep, they do have a favorite type of music. Is it A, classical, B, jazz, or C, anything that sounds like a can opener?
You know, I'll go with A, Alpha. KN6MIK. Back to you, Alex.
Proving once again that cats have class. Yeah, it's classical. They like anything that's slow and melodic that sounds like a purr. To them, nice smell of classical music. Thank you, Mike. Let's see, Victoria, she was in and out tonight. Thanks for trying to get in, Victoria. Catch you next week. Let's go to Timothy in Tillamook, Oregon. KK7NXV, favorite game to play as a kid.
This is KK7NXV. As a kid, probably hide and seek or tag.
Oh, you like to get exercise. That's, yeah, we did a little bit of that too. All right, your question is, what is the purpose of a cat's whiskers? What is the purpose of a cat's whiskers? A, to sense their surroundings and help them navigate. B, to twirl them as they're plotting world domination. Or C, to enhance their sense of smell. What do they use those whiskers for?
For as much as I would love for them to be plotting world domination, I'm going to go for Alpha. Thanks for hosting the net. KK7NXV, back to net.
Well, you folks know your cats. That's correct. Yeah, to sense their surroundings and help them navigate. So don't shave your cat's whiskers, especially if you let them outside. And don't let them outside. Please don't do that. We have coyotes around here. I don't know about you, but... All right, thank you, Timothy. Alex in Pasadena, KD5AJZ. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Most important, people logging in. As a kid, I was in Chicago. One of our favorite things was to play Kick the Can, which is basically an advanced version of hide and seek. But before video games were available, hey, we actually went outside. Ready for my question, Alex?
You know, I vaguely remember tin cans. Yeah. Yep. Doesn't work as well as an aluminum can. They're too light. Your question is, which animal is famous for changing its color to blend in to its surroundings? Is that A, a chameleon, B, an octopus, or C, a politician?
Well, it's actually an interesting question because two of the answers are true. My wonder is whether one is more than the other. Both the octopus and the chameleon do that. I'm going to go with chameleon as just being more famous for doing that. Wonderful net as always, Alex. Always enjoy these. Have a great night. KD5HAZ, back to net.
Way to go, Alex. You figured it out. I'd like to point out Alex is correct. You're correct, sir. Yeah, both of those are known for changing their color, the chameleon and the octopus, but the chameleon doesn't change its color to blend into its surroundings. It's usually just a signal other chameleons but it's famous for doing that. It's the octopus that actually changes its color, so you're correct. And then I asked for the animal that's famous for changing its color, because the octopus is lesser known. So, yeah, you got it, buddy. Thanks. Don in Kennewick, Washington, KI7ZRI. What was your favorite game to play as a child? One with Dorothy, maybe? Tell us.
Hey there, Alex, and everyone on net. This is Don, KI7ZRI. I'm a nerd, so I would love to play whatever games that came on the Compute magazine that I would type into my Commodore 64. All right? So very late, but I really do miss those days.
You're of the age when to be honest with you, if we had computer games, we'd probably have done that all day too, instead of play Stratego and Monopoly, which led to some very heated arguments with my friends when I was younger. But okay, your question is, which animal can sleep for up to 3 years at a time? Yeah, which animal can sleep for up to 3 years at a time? Is that A, a snail, B, a hibernating black bear, or C, an adult child who refuses to move out of the basement? Which one?
First guess would be me, but I'm going to go with B. Thanks for doing that there, Alex. Oh, frick.
Thanks, Don, and I may have misworded that. I said which animal. It's actually a snail. Is an insect considered an animal? Is it? I might have to look that one up and give you a correct on the technicality, but yeah, it's a snail that can sleep up for 3 years at a time. And not your teenage son, no. Thanks, Don. All right, so W7FTM, along with Vicky, K8VKY, you're listening to the Saturday Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector, going to Wes in Grants Pass, Oregon, KD6, EIR Wes. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Alex and Vicky in the net, KD6EIR. Oh, somebody mentioned that were so fun. Kick the Can was great. Like with a version of hide and seek, Ollie Ollie Oxenfree and all that. But I lived in Thousand Oaks, and we had a movie set that we found outside of the suburban area from a movie called Fire Creek. It was a great place to play, so we'd use BB guns. We were smart enough to use eye protection, but man, did it hurt. So we played this version of, I don't know what we didn't really have a name for it. It was something like Shoot 'em Up West Cowboy kind of thing. I finally got uninvited when I went to the blue chip stamp store and came back with a 25-pound bow. I thought I could be an Indian. They weren't. My friends really didn't think that was a good idea, so I got uninvited. Back to you.
Later, you guys went on to start your own chapter of Fight Club, didn't you? Yeah, we didn't shoot BBs at each other. We'd throw rocks, small rocks, or dirt clods, but probably the equivalent. Thank you, Wes. Your question is, a small Australian marsupial called the Antechinus goes into a mating frenzy once during his short life, only once during his short life, and A, will mate with any female creature he comes into contact with, including predators that often eat him. Sounds a lot like high school, doesn't it? B, will fling himself off a cliff if he finds no females, and that's some guys in high school I knew. Or C, will mate with as many females as possible until his body disintegrates. Which of those is true? I swear one of them is.
Wow. You've been saving that one for me, haven't you? That's a tough one. Including predators, that reminds me of my 36-year marriage. So that pretty much, yeah. My body hasn't disintegrated yet, but if I stuck around, it would have. Oh my God! And throwing myself off a cliff, I should have done that a long time ago. So I missed that opportunity. I'm going to say Charlie, till his body disintegrates. Poor guy. You got to feel for him, right? KD6EIR.
And you're correct, sir. Yeah, the Antichinus looks like a real cute little rat, is what he looks like. Will mate with as many females as possible until his body disintegrates. In other words, he keeps having sex until it kills him. And it's not a jealous husband. It's easy to tell them apart from other dead rodents. They're the ones with a big smile on their faces. You know that was coming. Thank you, Scott in Houston, N7FGP. Welcome to the ECR Trivia Net, Scott. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Good evening, Alex. Thank you and Vicky for being out there and doing the net tonight. When I was a kid, family would all get together. We'd go camping and sit around the campfire, and then we'd do a little snipe hunting. Never caught one, though. Ready for a question?
It's been around a long time, Scott. When I lived in Flagstaff, I got my parents. But that's how long it's been around. No, don't leave you no. How many continents are there on Earth? Same geography question. How many continents are there on the Earth? A 7.
We're getting an awful lot of packet loss there, Alex, but I think I got the gist of the question, and that would be A7. Thanks for doing the net, N7FGP.
Yeah, that would be correct, yeah. Anyone missed the other answers were B. The Wi-Fi obviously didn't work. Please kill us.
You're following out of a repeater, Alex. That last sentence is completely unreadable.
Thank you. Let's go back to option A. Frank in Lancaster, KC2. JBQ, what was your favorite game to play as a child?
Good evening, Alex and Vicky and everybody on the net. We used to play a lot of kickball, which would turn into free-for-all dodgeball. I'm ready for my question, Alex. Back to you.
Okay, Frank, I got a couple of amateur radio questions, which I normally don't do. I let the TechNet take care of that, but these are not too techy. What kind of amateur radio license class is typically the entry level in the U.S.? A, Jedi Apprentice, B, Technician, or C, Novice?
I'm going to go with B, Bravo, Alex, and have a nice week. Talk to you next week. KC2JPQ.
You've been in radio so long, Frank, I thought I could trick you with the novice, but you're right, technician. That's currently the entry-level class in the U.S. Thanks, buddy. Let's go to Fred in Reno, K7FPS. Fred, what was your favorite game to play as a child?
Yeah, K7FPS, Fred in Reno. Well wishes to John, first off, for his speedy recovery. And thank you, Alex and Vicky, for running the net. I was a free-range kid, and I would play in the forest until it got dark. And back in those days, there weren't little pen light flashlights. So you had to get out and find your way out before it got dark. Anyway, back to you, Alex, K7FPS.
Well, it's part of the adventure, Fred. In the Flagstaff, where I grew up as a kid, we'd go out and do similar things at night. And one time we went to sit down on this large boulder that was up on Mount Eldon, and my friend sat down right next to a large tarantula, and it was funny to watch him jump. I knew they were pretty much harmless, but he didn't know that. Your question is, okay, one more of these. What is the primary purpose of amateur radio? Primary purpose. A, to allow anyone to be able to use two-way communications. B, to provide non-commercial communication and public service. Or C, to perpetuate the hobby, promote goodwill, and to never discuss religion or politics with Satan-worshipping Democrats. What do you say, Fred?
Those are humorous. I'm going to go with Bravo on that one, Alex, K7FPS, back to net.
And Bravo is correct. Yes, to provide non-commercial communications and public service. And, okay, all right. I shouldn't have to explain the joke there. Stephanie and Larry in Oak Grove, California, KN6JLW, KN6JLX. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Alex, this is Stephanie, KN6JLW, and Larry, KN6JLX. Larry says marbles, and the original Nintendo came out when I was about 5, so I played quite a bit of Nintendo. Go ahead.
Well, doesn't Nintendo make a marble game for Larry? You can, probably not. Okay, your question. Oh, you get the Weird News Trivia Story of the Week. Didn't you get this one last week, or one like that last week? Maybe not. Which of the following headlines was an actual news story from this week? Yeah, I think you did get the Weird News Trivia Story of the Week last week. A, Japanese scientists win Nobel Prize for painting zebra stripes on cows to prevent fly bites. B, President to travel with own escalator following mishap at UN. Or C, Netflix to automatically turn on subtitles for people over 40. Which one of those was a real headline from last week?
All right, we're going with Alpha and hoping we're correct. Thanks for doing the net, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, there's no fooling you guys. Yes, A is correct. Japanese scientists win Nobel Prize for painting zebra stripes on cows to prevent flies from biting them. The IG Nobel Prize, I'll say it again, is for comical scientific achievements, and Tomiki Kojima's team put tape on Japanese beef cows and then spray painted them with white stripes to test the theory, and apparently it does work. The flies avoid the cows that look like zebras. Don't know why, but then I'm not a Nobel Prize winner. Thanks, guys. Chad in Cadogan, Pennsylvania, KD3 BPA. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Well, when I was a kid, we played a game that we called Ghost in the Graveyard. We played exclusively at night. It's kind of a hybrid between hide and seek and tag.
And by the way, how's that Wiccan cult going that that you joined? Your question, Chad. China's General Bureau of Radio, Film and Television, their version of the FCC, has banned this concept from appearing anywhere in the media. What did they ban? A, individual freedom, B, talking animals, or C, time travel. What did the China's FCC ban on the media?
I think A was a little bit too on the head, but so I'm going to go with the talking animals, and I think that's probably a move to block some kind of presentation of animal form. Back to you.
Actually, that's a good answer. That could entirely be possible. And there are some places that don't like talking animals for religious or other reasons, but now in China's case, it was time travel that they banned. According to the GBR-FT, the producers and writers are treating serious history in a frivolous way, which by no means should be encouraged. So that's why they don't allow time travel stories in China. It's kind of weird because time travel is the best kind of science fiction. First thing I saw, the first time travel movie I saw as a kid was the Time Machine with Rod Taylor. You know, the good version, not the cleaned up PC version they did like 10 or 20 years ago. Thanks, thank you, Chad. Robert, Kelly Ridge, Australia, VK2DY. Okay, what was your favorite game to play as a child?
VK2DY here, Robert, in Northwestern Sydney. Favorite game? I had an uncle and his family who absolutely loved backgammon. So from a very young age, I learned to play backgammon, and I played it quite a bit. So I guess I'll give that as an answer. VK2DY. Back to that.
Yeah, that game is so addictive. I still see adults doing it in Mars. You know, doing that instead of shuffleboard. All right, Robert, your question is, okay, when can the police forcibly enter your home without a warrant? This is in America, of course. I don't know about over there, but when can the police forcibly enter your home without a warrant? A, never. B, if they think you're up to something. Or C, anytime. Police no longer need a warrant to bust down your door. What do you think?
Constitutionally would be never, but I'm kind of. Could you read those again? Because I'm sort of leaning. I'm leaning to say never, but repeat the answers, please. VK2DY.
So, which answer did you want to reread?
The last two. VK2DY.
Something they can come in without a warrant, or C, anytime. Police no longer need a warrant in the U.S. to bust down your door.
I'm kind of leaning on B because there are circumstances in which they can enter, and I'm sort of leaning on B as the answer. VK2DY.
Okay, there's a little trouble with your audio, a little muffled. What was your answer again?
There's some issue with Echo Link here. I'm going to reluctantly go with B. My heart is saying A, but I'm going to go with Bravo, VK2DY.
Yeah, that's it. They can enter your home without a warrant if they think you're up to something. They can invoke exigent circumstances, which allows them to enter if they think you're destroying evidence or someone inside is in danger. Now, the operative phrase here is if they think. Yeah, thanks. Of course, someday it could be C. Let's hope not. Thank you, Robert. Brent, Pensacola, Florida. KF6HTJ, welcome back. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Oh, good evening, Alex, Vicky, and the rest of the net. Great to be back. I'll have to go with Foursquare. Loved playing it in elementary school, and always the one person that I still talk to from that time. We always joke about getting together and having another go at it. Back for my question.
And some people I knew in high school agreed to come back and meet at this park we used to hang out at, El Dorado Park in Scottsdale, when Halley's Comet returned, which was in 86, I think it was. And that was like, 10 years, maybe longer than that before then. I was the only one that showed up. All right, other people have a life. Your question is, people who got married before the 18th century usually did it for A, love, of course, B, uniting families, or C, the opportunity for getting away from their families.
Well, both B and C are completely plausible answers, but I'll have to go with Bravo. That's a lot of the influence of being in Asia for 14 years. But Bravo, back to net control, KF6HDJ.
And yeah, that's it. It's Bravo. They got married before the 18th century. The reason was for uniting families. It didn't matter if you liked the person or not. Beauty and the Beast was kind of an allegory, that story about a woman who lived with a beast, but it was the right thing to do because you were uniting the family. Yeah, most marriages were arranged by the parents. Now, if you marry out of love, your relatives would disown you. It's a good possibility. Of course, these days that can be a good thing, and mine do anyway, but thanks, Brent. Andy in Cheektowaga, New York, W2AJR. Andy, what was your favorite game to play as a child?
On the net, my parents had a fairly sizable pool, so our favorite game was Blind Man's Bluff. But definitely not Marco Polo, because that may be the most annoying game ever invented. Back to you, Alex.
Andy, I can verify that. Living in Phoenix, we would do a lot of swimming in the summertime, and yeah, that's even the public pools made you want to be in the pool. All right, your question is, you live in New York, so you might know this. Most theaters on Broadway number their seating rows by using letters. However, the letter rows I and O are intentionally left out because A, it's considered unlucky. B, it's a tribute to Broadway founder Ira Oberman. Or C, it's too easy to mistake an I or an O for a 1 and a 0, especially in the dark during the performance. Which of those is correct?
So I'm going to say C, Alex. Back to you.
Yeah, they thought that one through. That's correct. It's too easy to mistake an I or an O for a 1 and a 0. So that with less confusion, they don't use I or O. I didn't know that. Thank you, Andy. This is the W7FTM along with Vicky K8VKY. You're listening to these Saturday Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector, and we're going next to Chris in Hollywood, Florida, KQ4 UPK. Chris, what was your favorite game to play as a kid? Looking for a KQ4 UPK. Chris in Hollywood, are you there? That's okay, maybe later. Teresa in College Station, Texas, KU5 MUX, your favorite game to play as a child. Now, I don't think they had the Renaissance festivals back then, but what did you do?
This is KU5MUX. Actually, they did have PRF back when I was a child, but I think probably my favorite game to play was, pretty much any card game. I like cards. Go ahead with my question.
That's right, I forgot how young you were. That's right, they probably did have it. When I was a kid, no, we just dressed up in weird costumes on Halloween. I do like the Renaissance festivals. Anyway, your question is, all right, name that celebrity. Name that celebrity. I got a couple of these tonight. Whose real name is Karen Elaine Johnson? Karen Elaine Johnson. Is that A, Lady Gaga, B, Blondie, or C, Whoopi Goldberg?
I don't have a clue, so I'm going to go Bravo. Thanks for doing the net, Alex. 73 all KE5MUX.
Yeah, she hides her real name really well. But Blondie is actually Deborah Harry, I believe, and Karen Elaine Johnson is Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, she's a Karen. That's Karen Elaine Johnson, Whoopi Goldberg. Funny, she doesn't look Jewish. Thank you, Teresa. Roy in Blasdell, K8 BYU. Welcome back, Roy. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Alex, Becky, everybody on the net, K8 BYU. Well, back in the 60s, it was the time of James Bond, the man from Uncle, the girl from Uncle, so three of the neighborhood kids and I would always play Spy. That was quite fun.
That's right, I remember doing that too. Yeah, Men from Uncle and I Spy, well, Men from Uncle for us, and James Bond, so. Try to avoid Goldfinger's laser, though. Your question is, name that celebrity whose real name is Richard Starkey. Richard Starkey, is that A, Ringo Starr, B, Wyatt Earp, or C, Doc Holliday? Which one of those Western people is Richard Starkey?
That's so hard. A, Ringo.
I couldn't get you with the Western angle there, huh? Yeah, you're correct, Ringo Starr. Who does look Jewish, because he is. Thanks, thank you, Roy. Steve in Houston, N5ZUA. What was your favorite game to play as a child? Let me think. Electric trains?
Oh, good evening, Alex. I was just pondering how you look Jewish. Okay, I guess certain dress apparel gives it away. Yeah, I had the Lionel train set. Yeah, I wasn't sure if your question was from a Shiva's standpoint or whatever. So yes, I had the Lionel train set until we quit working one time, and my father, being the master electrician that he thought he was, took the power pack and the low voltage wires and shoved them directly into the 120 volt outlet. and fried everything, and that was the end of that. So from a mischievous standpoint, I don't remember doing anything. I had to ask my mother because I didn't really hang with those kind of kids. But apparently at one point in time, the girl I had the hots for next door, her parents went out of town on a cruise, and she asked me to add a landline telephone jack to her bedroom. So I did. I got up in the attic and ran the wire and tied it all in and put a hole in the wall and put a jack in there for a landline telephone. And when they got home, her parents got home, they came over and rang the doorbell, and both of them chewed my mother up one side and down the other for me doing that. And I don't even remember that, but that's about it from there. Otherwise, I like board games, you know, Clue and Monopoly, although my father changed the rules on Monopoly because I spent a lot of time in jail, and he got worried that I might grow up to be the type of person that likes to spend time in jail, so he had a serious private conversation with my mom about that at one point. Luckily, that never came true. So, ready for a question.
Wired her phone up and you didn't plant a listening device? Gee, Steve. Of course, maybe you did want to spend time in jail. Okay. Question is, last one of these. Name that celebrity whose real name is Jacob Cohen. Seems to be a pattern here. Jacob Cohen. A, Jerry Seinfeld. B, Eddie Murphy. C, Rodney Dangerfield.
I think I'll go with Alpha on that one, and we'll have to discuss the AT&T rotary dial test set that I had later off the air. N5ZUA, thanks.
Thanks, Steve. It's funny, when cordless phones first came out and they were operating on 46 megahertz, I won't go there. People that into scanners know what I'm talking about. Actually, Jacob Cohen was C. Rodney Dangerfield. That was his real name. One of the best comedians ever, at least in my opinion. I told my doctor I wanted to get a vasectomy. He said, with a face like mine, I don't need one. Brilliant man. Thanks, Steve. Brian in Monticello, Kentucky, EC4BR, welcome back. What was your favorite game to play as a child? Bug your neighbor's phone?
Good evening, Alex and Vicky and everybody on the net. Well, it's funny you say that because I'm old enough that we actually had a party line with the neighbor for a few years when I was a kid. So it was kind of automatically bugged in that sense. But anyway, that's a good question. Well, I was an only child, and I grew up in an area in the country where there weren't any other children my age, so I had to get a little bit creative. So I guess I'm going to go with shooting ants with a BB gun. Feeding ant lines was probably a good close second, but we'll go with that. What's my question?
Yeah, those BB guns got us in a lot of trouble, didn't they? Or maybe they should have. Your question is, news from medicine. You ready for this? Implanting this in a patient's eye can restore their vision. What can you implant in a patient's eye that will restore their vision? A, mud. B, Google Glass. Or C, a tooth.
Actually, I just read about this the other day. It's C, Charlie, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll turn it back to you, Alex, AC4BR.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody would get this. Yeah, you're right. It's a tooth. Yep, they take the tooth, they take out one of your teeth, put a plastic lens on it, and implant it in your cheek to make tissue and blood vessels grow around it. A few months later, they put it in your eye, where the tissue and blood vessels keep your body from rejecting the plastic lens. It's alive! It's alive! Anyway, it's kind of strange, but if you don't mind having that done to your cheek for a few months, I guess it's worth it, be able to see. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Brian. Okay. Chris in Hollywood, are you with us? KQ4 UPK. Let's see if he joined us again.
It's KQ4 UPK. Do you read now?
Copy you loud and clear. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
definitely hide and go seek. And then once I got in the scouts, it was manhunt.
Yeah, hide and go seek like you do with the net here. Huh? Net. Okay, got you down, Chris. Thanks. Your question is, where does the French word sabotage come from? A, wooden shoes called sabots. B, a French ruler, Louis Sabotage, who lost every battle he waged. Or C, it's an acronym used by the French military that means the same thing as the American military acronym FUBAR. Now, it could be any one of those, Chris. What do you think?
Oh my goodness gracious. Could be any one of those. Let me think. I'm gonna go with B.
No, it was not Louis Sabotage. See, I can't even speak French. Sabotage, and don't worry, nobody knows this, comes from wooden shoes called sabots. The clog shoes were clumsy to wear, and sabotage came to mean working slowly and clumsily on purpose. So, more useless trivia for you, Chris. That's luck of the draw. Thanks for checking in, buddy. All right, let's go to John in South St. Paul, Minnesota, KC1 QPL. Paul, what game did you play as a child that was your favorite?
Well, good evening, Alex, Vicky, and the Lord. Thanks for having me tonight, KC1 QPL. My favorite game as a child was chess and hockey. And then we played some kick the can and a few other things, too, in the neighborhood. But those I enjoyed most. What's my question tonight, my friend? Good to be with you. Oh, come on.
Thank you, John. I figured you for a chess player, something like that. Probably got a Rubik's Cube when you were older and figured it out in 3 or 4 moves. All right, your question is, what is nomophobia? It's one of those new words. What is nomophobia? N-O-M-O-P-H-O-B-I-A. A, the fear of being without your girlfriend. Ain't no sunshine when she's... B, the fear of being without your wallet. Or C, the fear of being without your mobile phone. What is nomophobia?
Well, I am totally guessing at this, but the first thing before you even entered the choices or gave me the choices, I thought nomophobia. That's got to be the fear of not having money. And since I thought that initially after you said the question, I'm going to go with that. And thanks again for having me. KC1 QPL, back to you, sir.
Thanks, John. I didn't know this either. It's nomophobia is the fear of being without your mobile phone. Yeah. Now, you and I would worry if we didn't have our wallets with us, but oh no, today it's your mobile phone. People with the disorder experience anxiety about not having their phone, their battery dying, or lack of service, because that's something you really need to worry about. Thanks. Thank you, John. Joe in Portland, W07X, welcome to the net. What was your favorite game to play as a child? You still like to play it?
SKR2, SKI Portable 1.
Hang on, Joe. I think I heard somebody we called on earlier. George in Kawagoe, Japan, JR2FGI. Are you in?
Yes, I'm in. I'm sorry, I'm just in a department store, but I'm ready. Let me go to the elevator here. If you have a question, then give it to me, then no. Okay, wait.
Okay, tell the cashier to hold on. You're on the phone with America here. Question of the night real quick is, what was your favorite game to play as a child? Let's get that one out of the way first.
The reception isn't the best. What's my favorite toy, my favorite game? I don't play games actually. But whatever it is that what your question was, Alex? Go ahead.
That's okay, George. We'll get to your question. Electronics giant Samsung, the Korean company, obviously started out as a transistor radio manufacturing company, B, a shoe manufacturing company, or C, a fish and noodle shipping company. What did Samsung start out as?
That's a good question. I'll go with A, although I'm not a Samsung fan. Over to you, TR2FC, I-401.
Well, that would probably make the most sense, but actually Samsung started out as C, a fish and noodle shipping company. Yeah, Lee Byung-chul founded Samsung in 1938, shipping dried fish and noodles to China. Thanks to some wise investments he made, obviously, the company found itself later on the cutting edge of phones and smart devices. So good for Lee Byung-chul. Thanks. Thanks, George. I'm glad you can make it in. Joe in Portland, do we have you now? W07X. This is W7FTM in Scottsdale, Arizona, going next to Jerry in Peru, New York, K2PGX. Welcome to the net, Jerry. What was your favorite game your favorite game to play as a child? Not toy, just game.
Hello, good evening, Alex and everybody. My first time on SNET. My time goes back to before television, so my favorite game was hide and seek in the good weather and snowball fights in the snow weather. And when the street lights came on, you better be in the house. Then we listened to the Lone Ranger and Hopalong Cassidy on the radio. Over.
Yep, that goes back a little ways. That's I never liked hide and seek because nobody would come looking for me. They just leave. So you're up. Thank you, Jerry. Your question is, during World War II. Now this is a question I had no idea to. Maybe you know. I don't know. During World War II, the U.S. gave this to the Chinese, to help them combat the Japanese occupation. What did we send the Chinese in World War II? A, exploding baking flour. B, exploding chopsticks. Or C, exploding karaoke machines. Now that's an idea I can get behind. What do you think, Jerry?
I would have to guess exploding flour. Karaoke wasn't around back then, so that's an automatic elimination there.
I noticed that, didn't you? Yeah, it's when did those come about? Too early. But you're correct. Yeah, it's exploding baking flour we sent them. When a nitroamine explosive is mixed with regular flour, it can turn a loaf of bread or a muffin into a dangerous weapon. The explosive was nicknamed Aunt Jemima, of course it was, and was packaged so that just the flour itself could be used to make less volatile baked goods if you needed it for that. But yeah, I wonder how well that worked. Anyway, thanks, Jerry. You got it, buddy. Hope to hear you next Saturday. Let's go to Micah, and that's Escumbia, Alabama, KO4 CLD. Welcome, Micah. What was your favorite game to play as a child? see, did I put Micah to sleep? KO4 CLD. Well, we're almost to the end of the list here, so hopefully we'll catch him later. Let's go to Justin in Conroe, Texas, KJ5. J&J, Justin, your favorite game to play as a child?
KJ5JNJ, thank you very much, Alex, for running this wonderful net and enjoying it as always. The indoor game was, my favorite one was Trouble, the game with the Pop-O-Matic bubble, if you remember that. That was a lot of fun, but even more fun was the outdoor game that we made up, and it doesn't have a name, but we lived on a farm where we had farm equipment in this one barn in the back, and we got into there with our guns that were supposed to shoot darts, and I'm sorry, yeah, like the suction darts. And we ran out of the suction darts, and we got into that barn, and we found this really fine powder, powdered dirt. I don't know what it was, but it was fine dust on the ground in there that we would first put into the gun, and then we found a whole wagon full of soybeans as well. This is back in Illinois. They were growing soybeans there, and you put a soybean in the end, after you put some that dust in there, and then we would pop up out of them wagons and, play a game of shoot 'em up. And that was pretty fun. That was a lot of fun. And you'd have a little bit of smoke come out of that gun every time you shot it too, so that was the coolest thing you could do with those plastic dart guns, I think.
If you ever have made a gun out of soybeans and dirt, you just might be. I'm just kidding. All right. Actually, that's pretty inventive. We did things like that too with BB guns, and when we didn't have any BBs, and that's a bad idea. But I like your idea. Your question is the killer rabbit of Carabanog, yeah, featured in the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail, was based on an actual killer rabbit that terrorized Scotland until it was disposed of with a hand grenade. B, a carving in the Notre Dame Cathedral. Or C, one of cast member Eric Idle's pet rabbits that had a bad temperament. What was the killer rabbit scene based on?
I'll take C, Alex, and thanks again for the net. KJ5J&J, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. This one's kind of weird. The killer rabbit of Carabanog was actually based on a carving in the Notre Dame Cathedral. The Notre Dame de Paris features a carving of a knight fleeing from a rabbit, which illustrates cowardice. It's appropriately titled The Allegory of Cowardice. It's very strange. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Justin. David, Owensboro, Kentucky, last up, W9DWH. What was your favorite game to play as a child? Fall asleep during the Trivia Net. That was your favorite. W9DWH, David.
Good evening, Alex, and everyone on the net. My favorite game to play whenever I was a kid was hooky, and it even won me a Nobel Prize.
Hey, in those days, the truant officers would come get us, but boy, they did away with those, didn't they? Your question, David, is Who was the first American astronaut in space? The first American astronaut in space. Was it A, Alan Shepard, B, John Glenn, or C, Timothy Leary?
Don't have any clues, so when in doubt, Charlie out. So we'll guess C. And thanks for running that out. As always, hope to catch everybody next week. W9, get about you.
Although I don't think he was the first. Timothy Leary was definitely in space. It's Alan Shepard. A lot of people think it was John Glenn, but no, it was Alan Shepard was the first guy they shot up there after a few animals. It made it back alive. Thank you. Thanks, David. All right, taking more check-ins for the ECR Trivia Net. Full call sign phonetically twice, please.
Kilo India 5 Whiskey Whiskey Uniform. Kilo India 5 Whiskey Whiskey Uniform.
Whiskey Delta 8 Papa India Charlie. Whiskey Delta 8 Papa India Charlie.
Victor Kilo 3 Alpha Whiskey Alpha. Victor Kilo 3 Alpha Whiskey Alpha.
And it looks like we have 3 more have checked in. Lynn in Houston, KI5WWU. Bob in Sylvania, Ohio, WD8PIC. Welcome back, buddy. And Daryl in Paradise Beach, Australia, VK3AWA. And let's see, 1, 2, yep, that would be it. And this is W7FTM in Scotts, Arizona, going up to Lynn in Houston, KI5WWU. What was your favorite game to play as a child, Lynn?
Good evening, Alex and Vicky. Thanks for the net. KI5WWU. My favorite game as a child, indoor board game. It was the hockey game that you played, table hockey or rod hockey, whatever you call it. And I don't know how I found it. Maybe at Sears in Memphis or something when I was like 10 years old. But that was my favorite game back then. Ready for my question, sir? Back to you.
Yeah, I remember those games, and the Rock'em Sock'em Robots was kind of interesting too, although they didn't last very long, obviously. All right, Lynn, your question is, which famous black comedian once related this experience? I thought there'd been some sort of mistake. I woke up in an ambulance with nothing but white people staring at me. I said, ain't this a bitch? I done died and wound up in the wrong heaven. Was it A, Eddie Murphy, B, Chris Rock, or C, Richard Pryor?
Wow, that's a tough one because it could be any one of the 3. And yes, I had Rock'em Sock'em Robots too, so good point. I'm going to go with Richard Pryor, but it could be any one of those. Great question. Back to you, sir. KI5WWU.
Yep, that was the Teflon-coated Richard Pryor who related that, waking up in the ambulance after taking a little too much crack cocaine, unfortunately. But it's, what a genius. And obviously he would never broadcast anything he says these days, but at the time, it's hilariously funny. Thank you, Lynn. Boy, Bob in Sylvania, Ohio, WD8TIC. What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Well, being totally blind, as you already know, but for other people. I had weird games, like one of the things that you guys would identify with is my dad figured out a way to put a bell on a ball, and he would roll it back and forth toward me, or he would just roll it someplace. And then when I was still learning, you know, he would go over and deliberately shake the ball so it would ring to help me to directionalize on the sound. I also like taking the big 30-inch take-up reels or a huge, you know, massive dinner plate, putting it up on the edge and spinning it as fast as it would go, and then sometimes I go out in the kitchen and still do that. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I'm a dog lover, but my ultimate favorite thing to do as a kid, and I still love this as an adult, is searching through the radio dial, whether it's the broadcast band. In fact, I got a new station to me anyway this morning. I love radio. Because, you know, I had seizures and asthma real bad, and so, you know. And of course, I'm a people person. Anyway, go on with your question.
The radio, we used to do that too, and yeah, I guess playing hide and seek would have been kind of one-sided for you. So your question is, how's your entomology? Which of the following unusual characteristics belong to the very colorful insect known as the jewel beetle? The jewel beetle. A, they're strong supporters of the LGBTQ community. B, they have a call that sounds like a car's engine starting up. Or C, they have infrared receptors on their chest that allow them to fly towards a forest fire so they can mate and the charred remains. What do you think, Bob?
It sounds weird enough. I'm going to say C. I have no idea. And then that's something that I can't do, so it fits. And you know, I also can't be an ocean either. Sea. Anyway, back to net control.
Well, Bob, the way science is advancing, they may have infrared receptors that you can plant in your chest. But you're correct. It's C. Yeah, the jewel beetle, very colorful insect, has infrared receptors in their chest that allow them to fly towards a forest fire so they can mate in the charred remains, because less competition that way when everything else is burned up. That's interesting creatures. Thank you, Bob. Daryl in Australia, VK3AWA, welcome back. And what was your favorite game to play as a child? I won't do any Australian stereotypes, so you tell me.
Good evening, Alex, Vicky, and Nanette. I'd have to go for the Monopoly, Alex, which is a worldwide standard, but there is an Australian version, so Monopoly is my answer. Over.
Now you've got me curious. I'm going to have to look up the Australian version of Monopoly to see what they replaced all the New York streets with, and probably better than the Monopoly we have. You know how you can tell a Monopoly was made a long time ago? Because the bankers never go to jail. Okay, your question is... here we are. The Carolina Reaper is the hottest pepper in the world. However, if you eat one, it can cause a visit from the Carolina Reaper's cousin, the Grim Reaper, and B, a rare brain disorder with severe headaches, or C, severe diarrhea, burns you coming and going. What is the problem with that Carolina Reaper pepper?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going with C, Alex, and thanks for running the net. See you later.
You know, it probably does that too. I should research that some more, but it causes a rare brain disorder with severe headaches, so don't eat the Carolina Reaper pepper, even especially if you're showing off. If you like hot peppers, well, yeah. But you're kind of risking it. Stay with the much cooler jalapenos. Thank you, Gerald. And more check-ins now for the ECR Trivia Net. Full call sign phonetically twice, please.
India 7, Lima Alpha Golf.
K4 BDR, Kilo 4 Bravo Romeo.
Yeah, we picked up two more. Patrick in Beaverton, KI7LAG, and Boyce in Surprise, Arizona, K4 BBR. Welcome back, guys. Question of the night, what was your favorite game to play as a child? Over to you, Patrick.
Good evening, Alex. This is Patrick, KI7LAG. I was, again, fond of Pac-Man. I mean, I would play Pac-Man until I got sick. Let's go ahead with your question.
All right, Patrick, how are you on old TV shows themes? Your question is, Davy Crockett. A, American pioneer. B, loved his country dear. C, king of the wild frontier.
Wasn't he the guy who wore the raccoon skin hat? Go with C, Charlie, KI7LAG, back to net.
Yep, that's the one, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. The ballad of Davy Crockett was recorded by the Mellow Men for the 1960s TV series starring Fess Parker, and they sing it much better than I do. Yeah, you got it, buddy. Thanks. All right, Boyce, Surprise, Arizona, K4 BBR. What was your favorite game to play as a child, Boyce?
Well, my favorite game, I guess, since they didn't have video games back then. I had a bunch of guys in my neighborhood that were my age, and we had these great woods behind our house that went for acres and acres and acres, and we had all these great trails and tree houses, and we would go back there and play Army, because it wasn't that much. It wasn't but like 10 years after World War II, so that was a big deal to us. So yeah, I guess playing Army.
Yep, I did that too up until they tried to draft me. Then I pretended like I was. I'm just kidding. All right, your question is. Well, this is kind of appropriate. You're relaxing at your summer home up in Payson when a wildfire breaks out. You should do this before you evacuate. A, stand on the roof with a garden hose and try to save your property first. B, leave all the doors open to prevent backdraft. Or C, turn all the lights on. Which of those should you do when that wildfire is lapping up at your back door?
I'm going to go with D, David, and run. I'm going to run outside. Gee, I don't know. Turn the lights on, I guess. I don't know. I thought I had it because I knew it. I didn't think it was number one, but then 2 and 3 were kind of weird, so I'll go with the lights. Dang it, I wanted the Davy Crockett when I knew it.
Boise, you are the king of the wild frontier, because that's the correct answer. Yeah, you turned all the lights on. Now, I know you and I would stand on the roof of the garden hose and try to save it up to the last minute, but you're supposed to just leave all the lights on. It makes your house more visible to firefighters. And then don't leave your doors open. Close them and open the fireplace flue to prevent backdrafts. Don't leave the doors open. So it's a last-ditch effort, but it might help. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for checking in. All right, so W7FTM, Helen, Scottsdale, Arizona, lock at Vicky, K8VKY, and we're taking more check-ins for the ECR Trivia Net. Full call sign phonetically twice, please. Hang on a second, let's concentrate on this one. Was that Morris into DBQ? You have a lot of pass noise with you. If you could boost your power somehow, we appreciate it.
That should be better. Boosting the power now. This is KA1 FYX Kilo Alpha 1 Foxtrot Yankee X-Ray, Williamstown, Massachusetts, and the name is Billy. Bravo India Lima Yankee.
Much better. It was a completely different call sign than I thought. KA1 FYX, is that correct, Billy, in Petersburg, New York?
That's correct. Actually in Williamstown, Mass. My P.O. box is in Petersburg. It's the next town over.
Yeah, that's no problem. It just brings up, wherever you're located at QRZ, so not a problem. All right, got you down. Anybody else like to check in? Full call sign phonetically twice, please.
November 2 Delta Bravo Quebec. November 2 Delta Bravo Quebec in Governor, New York, running 50 watts.
Foxtrot Hotel Echo. November Uniform Quebec 4 Foxtrot Hotel Echo.
The double key.
All right, hold it again. This time we got you this time, Morris. Thanks for boosting your power into DQB. We have KA1FYX and KQ4FHE. There's one more in there. Try to again, full call sign phonetically twice, please. There was a double T in there, I believe.
Kilo 5 Yankee November Uniform, K5 YNU.
All right, then, before my hearing completely goes, let's take what we have here into DBQ, KA1FYX, KQ4FHE, and K5YNU, up to Morris, Governor, New York, into DBQ. Question of the night, what was your favorite game to play as a child?
Yeah, good evening. My first time here, actually my first time ever hearing this net. I was kind of curious about it. And I think my favorite game probably was when I was a kid. Well, that was a long time ago. Used to all grab a jar and go outside at night and see who could collect the most fireflies. And then we could all sit back and count them in the jars and see who won. I think that was about it. Didn't care for board games, cards, or anything like that. Like being outside. And back to Net. They're ready for a question.
And by the way, welcome to the net. By the way, Morris, appreciate having you here in the ECR Trivia Net. And when I lived in the Midwest for a while, we did that too. obviously don't have them in Phoenix, but yeah, that was fascinating to me, to going up here to see these blinking lights at night that would go around. Sadly, due to pesticide and farming practices, there's a lot fewer of them than there used to be. But got you now for the fireflies. Your question is, in which kind of bed can you fall asleep faster and sleep deeper than other beds? Is it A, a water bed, B, a hammock, or C, a futon?
Well, I think because you said deeper, I'm going to go with hammock.
Try as I might, my wife will not let me put a hammock in the bedroom. I don't know. She's funny that way, but you're correct. The hammock, the rocking motion of the hammock leads to longer periods of N2 sleep, a non-REM sleep that takes up about half your sleep time, and that's the one you want. So everybody start putting hammocks in their bedrooms. If your wives and girlfriends will let you. Thank you. Thanks, Marcia. I hope to hear you next Saturday night. Let's go to Billy in Petersburg, New York, K81FYX. Favorite game to play as a child, Billy?
K81FYX. Yeah, there were so many I've thought of. I've been listening to the Net. I heard the Roebuck and the Trouble game, the little popper in the middle. I think my favorite, though, was playing Battleship with my little sister. And we collected fireflies in jars, so we never thought to play a game like that. That was interesting stuff. And yeah, so I would say Battleship. Yeah.
I forgot about that one. We used to play with pen and paper until they came out with the actual game. Was it Parker Brothers or somebody? I don't remember. That they, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Took a lot of time at what would they call it? The rec room fairs they had in the summer when you're in school when you were kids. They don't do anymore. Anyway, your question is, Chinese superstition says that having a mirror in the bedroom facing the bed, A, is helpful for virgins learning the in and outs of sex. B, gives your relationship 7 years of bad sex. Or C is like having a third person intruding on your relationship and brings bad luck. What do the Chinese believe, superstition-wise?
Oh, boy. Well, I've eliminated B. 7-year thing is break the mirror. Oh, boy. Boy, this is hard. A would be the positive answer, B would be the negative answer. I'm going to go with A.
Well, since it's your first time on the net, I thought I'd give you a really weird, hard question, and actually it's C. And the Chinese superstition says that having a mirror in the bedroom facing the bed is like having a third person intruding on your relationship, and it brings bad luck. So they don't, unlike here in the States, are not into mirrors. And I won't go there. Thank you. Thanks, really. Hope to hear you next Saturday. I promise you'll most likely get a less word question. Pat in Harvest, Alabama, KQ4FHE, welcome back. What was your favorite game to play as a child? Mirrors on the ceiling?
Alex, to everybody else on the net, this is KQ4FHE. My favorite board game was Monopoly. Ready for your trivia question.
Yeah, I understand in England they don't allow the royals to play Monopoly, the royal family, because they get in such heated arguments that they, yeah, I can understand that. All right, your question is, why did the early Model T Ford automobiles come only in the color black? A, there was a shortage of color paint in the early 1900s. B, black paint dried the fastest. Or C, the paint tax of 1903 excluded the color black. Why Do those Model Ts come in black?
I'm going to go with A.
Well, I guess they had to paint, but they actually painted them black because black paint dried the fastest at that time, which kind of makes sense. It does today, unless in most cases, but it made production go a little faster until they came out with the assembly line, and that then you could change the color. But yeah, even I don't go that far back. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you playing, buddy. Let's go to Lauren in Conroe, Texas, K5YNU. What was your favorite game to play as a child? Board game, outdoor games, doctor, whatever.
Well, good evening, Alex and Vicky, everyone on the net. Yeah, I was an outdoor person, and soccer was the number one game. When I have 5 minutes, it was soccer. Ready for the question, Alex?
Soccer, I've seen that. Thank you. Football, as they like to say. All right, Florin, your question is, are you a Trekkie or Trekker by any chance? The original Star Trek series came up with the idea of using transporters because A, it seemed more futuristic than using shuttles. B, the special effects crew was eager to try something new. Or C, it was too expensive to use shuttles and would have ruined the pace of the show. Why did they come up with the idea of the transporter?
Oh, man. I would go with B. It's a guess. Bravo. Thank you for doing that. K5Y.
Oh, that was pretty good special effects for that early. They actually did it for C. It was too expensive. These shuttles, having to film them landing on the planet and coming back, it would ruin the pace of the show. So they thought, let's just beam somebody down instantly, and you can go from scene to scene that way. So, yeah, it was over money. It was too expensive to do. Good thing, though. It made for an interesting, I think, more interesting series. So, anyway, thanks. Thank you, Lauren. All right, that's the end of the call list here. We're taking more check-ins. Full call sign phonetically twice, please. Last call for the ECR Trivia Net. Full call sign phonetically twice, please. All right, then, let's call it a net. No crickets tonight. I have my windows closed. It's actually in the 60s outside, which it hasn't been for a while, thanks to all the thunderstorms from a leftover tropical storm that came up through Mexico. We got a lot of rain, and it's cold tonight. Not that you're interested. Let's see, we had 39 people check in tonight, and of those who answered questions and weren't in and out, we had 22 people got their questions correct, and only 14 people missed their question. Now, the question of the night, what was your favorite game to play as a child? Of course, that's pretty much all over the place. Hide and seek was a popular choice. Monopoly, of course, and kick the can were also popular choices, so we'll sort this one out later. Once again, we'd like to thank everybody who did participate tonight, with special thanks, of course, to Vicky, KEA, to VKY for logging the net. The East Coast Reflector hosts a variety of interesting nets, during the week. Of course, for more information, visit eastcoastreflector.com and select the Nets tab on the main page. We now return control of the ECR back to normal amateur use until next week at the same time, when the control voice will take you to the Saturday Night Trivia Net. 7:30, good night, W7 FTM clear.
Thank you, Alex.